And now onto games. Games are a fun way, once we understand the underlying concept, to get a lot of practice in so that we become more fluent in the facts. And when you think of sounding out words and phonics works for reading, reading a book actually is the game. It's the fun part. And in math, we need that fun practice as well, where we see how math can apply to the real world. So this game I have lovingly and creatively called Speed Dial Your Friend. So in this game, I have a special die with the numerals 0 to 9 actually, so there's no 10, so there's all the single digits. And in this game, my right hand's going to play one player who rolls the die, and my left hand's going to keep track. And so this is speed dial because there's a speed component involved, and we'll give ourselves, let's say, a minute. I won't time myself here, but the idea is when the teacher, or when you decide to say go, when you turn over the egg timer, you roll the die, and that's a 6. 6 and 4 make 10. Okay, that's one fact. 8 and 2 make 10. 9 and 1 make 10. 5 and 5 make 10. 4 and 6 make 10. 0 and 10 make 10. 6 and 4 make 10. If that's correct, I can put a new one. 7 and 3 make 10. 2 and 8 make 10. 1 and 9 make 10. Now, I'm not sure what my time is now, but I'll pause there because you get the idea. And at the end of a minute, we could go ahead and count up all of the cubes that you earned. You could even keep track of it and see if your number can improve as time goes on. But I have the same 10 cubes that I like to use here. So my score would be 10. This game uses my special dice, which have 10 different sides with the single digits 0 to 9 on it. And I'm going to go ahead and roll a whole bunch. The name of this game is Find the Tens. So I'm going to roll a whole bunch of die, and I'm going to look for my tens. Let's see. 3, there's no 7, 4 and 6. Good. 4 and 6 make 10. There's a pair. 5 and 5 make 10. 9 and 1 make 10. Okay, I think I'm out. But before I really give up, a good way to go is to prove that I'm done. So this is the 3. I know I need a 7, but there is no 7, so this is not going to help me. 2 and 8, nope, no 8, 2, no 8, 6, and there's no 4. So that means I'm really done. I had 3 pairs of 10s, so I can count my score as 3, and then I or my partner can roll again and see if we can get more than 3 pairs. A lot of these games I've thought up myself, but there's a good chance other people around the world have also thought of them. And some of them I've just directly gotten from other sources. And so this one I found online. It's a common one, but I like to call it mind reading. So in this game we have this 3, 3, and 3. That's 9 and one more bell. So we have 10 bells, and the funner the manipulatives, the better. So the name of the game is mind reading. So I'm going to hold out these bells to my partner, and while they're watching, I'm going to pull some away. I might not even know how many I've grabbed, and that's not as important. I can put it behind my back. So my partner's going to look and see, I see 6, you took 4. And when I bring this hand back, indeed, there's 4. So it's kind of like, ooh, how do you know how many I took? All right, so let's try it again. Okay, so I have these behind my back, but in front here, I can see 6 bells and 2 more, so that's 8. So my partner would say, I see 8, you took 2. And there's the 2. Let's do another one. Okay, I see 0, you took 10. So there's a whole variety. And keep in mind, this game as well can be played. If I were to put these 3 away in a drawer, now I have 7 bells. So we could practice our friends of 7. I see 5, you took 2. And indeed I did. This game is called a 10-frame puzzle, and you can see it takes 10 frames cut in a special way. So when we cut them like this, it's really easy to see the shape. And so we can see that the shape of 7, for example, is kind of like a thicker L. The shape of 6 is a nice skinny L. It's always 5 and 1 more in the standard 10-frame form. Now 6 could also be 3 and 3, but these are all in what I call the standard 10-frame form. So for these puzzles, we can just go ahead and look and see. We got 6 here. Okay, nope, that doesn't make 10. 6 and 3 and 1 make 10. but we're focusing on two different parts combining for 10. So I can see that, here we go, 6 and 4. Perfect. 6 and 4 make 10. 7, and what am I looking for? Oh, I know 7 and 3 make 10. In fact, I can see 1, 2, 3 right where they're going to fit. And so here we go. 7 and 3 make 10. 8 and 2 make 10. 9 and 1 make 10. 5 and, oh my goodness, I've lost my other 5. But 5 and 5 do make 10. And lastly, 10 and 0 make 10. I like this game, but again, it takes these special pieces here, but it really helps my mind visualize it. These games, like the one I'm about to show you, only work for 10 because it's a 10 frame, or it involves fingers where you always have 10. But some of the games can work for other numbers as well. So I can use a regular die and talk about friends of 6. 3 and 3 make 6. 2 and 4 make 6, and so on. Or I could use this regular die and talk about friends of 7. 6 and 1 make 7. 3 and 4 make 7, and so on. Of course, you can always roll 2 dice together as well and do just basic addition. 5 and 2 make, that happens to be 7. There we go. I rolled a friend of 7. Alternatively, if I want to use my same 10-sided die, I can actually talk about 7s here as well. So I just rolled a 9. So I'd say 9 minus 2 is 7. 5 plus 2 is 7. 7 plus 0 is 7, and so on. I like that idea. Then if you roll an 8, 8 minus 1 is 7, and so on. Lots of ideas. So in this game, with the 10 frame cards, it's called I Wish I Had 10. So I'm going to shuffle these. And when I show a card, the idea is you're going to say how many it wishes it had to get to 10. So I'm going to show this one. And the answer is 3. 7 wishes 3. You can say it in a variety of ways. 8. 7. I kind of prefer it if it's up this way, but oh well. 4. 0. 5. 6. Now it gets a little tricky because the number I'm saying out loud is not actually the number that's being represented. It's the number it wants. So you could also slow it down and say 4 and 6 make 10. 9 and 1 make 10. 8 and 2 make 10, and so on. Now, lastly, I just want to point out there's two kind of ways to think about this, right? I could look and I could see the 8, and I could know in my mind that 8 and 2 more make 10 because I've memorized that. Or I can really look and see that the number of filled frames plus the number of empty frames is always equal to 10 frames altogether. And so here's I talked about that briefly for another game. And so I could look and see 8 and know that it wants 2 because I also see 2 empty here. So my point is I know that the friend of 8 is 2, not just because I've memorized that 8 and 2 is 10, but also because I see that it wants 2. It wishes it had 2. There's that kind of hole that makes it very visual to see how many are missing, which makes this activity, I think, especially helpful for talking about friends of 10. And lastly, 1 and 9 make 10. And there we go. A variety of games that we can play with a normal deck of cards. Now notice here I'm keeping ace as a 1, which makes sense. There's always 1 on there anyway. And I'm going up to 10, but I'm leaving out the jack, the queen, and the king. I also just have 2 suits here just to keep it simple. But there's a variety of things we could do. We could mix it up and kind of spread it around and see, oh, look, 5 and I need another 5. So you can just kind of pair them up, and 6 and 4 make 10, and 3 and 7 make 10, and so on. Just kind of find the pairs yourself. But I think it's a little more fun to do it with Go Fish. So for example, if I have 7 cards in my hand, I'm dealt these 7 cards. Now, notice I am not going to say, oh, I have a pair. I'm going to set that down. Now that's normal Go Fish, but this way is a little bit different. So in this game, this is called, what should we call it? Go Fish to make 10. Fish for 10. Fishing for 10. Oh, great name. Okay. So, so in this game, we want to have the numbers that make 10. So I notice right away I have a 6 and a 4, or I could use this 4. It doesn't really matter. So instead of going ahead and saying, oh, I have a pair, I'm going to say I have a 10. So there's 110. Do I have any other 10s here? I do. This is actually a really good hand. 10. And I also have a 9 and a 1, which make 10. And notice in this version, you will see a lot more 10s that come up. So now I'm left with these 2 cards. So when it was my turn, I would say, Sally, do you have an 8? And I would ask for an 8 because I have a 2 and I know that's what makes 10. Or I could ask Jimmy, do you have a 6? And then they would say, go fish, if they didn't. Well, that was a lot we covered today. Thanks for sticking with me, and I hope you can see that there's so many different ways that we can make math fun and interact with it and really get our facts down so that we can memorize things and move on to tougher and tougher math and have our basic facts memorized with great fluency and automaticity. And lastly, have fun with this. You'll notice math all around you. Say maybe you grab 10 chips out of a bag and you only get that many, you know your mom's not going to let you have seconds. Well, once you eat 2, you should know that you're going to have 8 left. And if you don't have 8 left, then you better look at your little sister because you should have 8. When you're down to only 3 chips left, you can know you've already eaten 7, and so on and so forth. That's it for today for Math with Miss Jen. Come back next time.